Hello, eighth grade English students. I'm going to give you kind of a little description and rundown of the personal poetry project that you guys will all be responsible for. And this is something that, if you're working remotely, you'll be working on this obviously at home. And everybody else who's coming in person, uh, we'll go over the directions and things like that I'm doing right now in person as well. But this is something we'll be working on the days that you're not at school. So, for example, cohort A students, you guys will be in school Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you'll be working on your personal poetry project. That'll be the assignment that you have. So I'm going to go over the directions for that. And those of you that are in my class on Thursday and Friday of this week, this is something that you can have a look at and start to kind of make plans on how to do. So um, there's some sort of specific instructions that I'm going to go over with you right now. So I'm going to read what's up here. It says you will be creating your own book of poetry. Remote students will create theirs on Google Docs, and in-person students will have the choice of creating one on Google Docs or creating one on paper. Read through the packet below to familiarize yourself with the 12 styles of poetry outlined. Your book will contain at least 10 poems. 7 of your poems must be from this packet. So you have to use the style of poems in the packet that I'm showing you. The other 3, if you choose to, can be of your own choice. You can create a free verse poem. You can do some sort of a rhyming scheme poem. It's up to you. You will not be writing directly on the document below. This is just to read. You will create your own doc by clicking on the top right. Your document must have a title page and a page for each poem, and that's whether you're doing it on paper or whether you're doing it in Google Docs. The poem must be centered on the page and contain some images to illustrate the poem. Watch this video for instructions. So I'm going to open up the instructions. So what I've done here, guys, is this is a PDF, so you can't write on this. In fact, I don't want you to write on this. These are just the different types of poems, and most of them have an example on the page in case you're having trouble with it. Some of them don't need an example. Okay, so we have at the beginning we have a poem called an octave poem, and an octave poem is a poem that has 8 lines. It contains a rhyme. Your rhyme pattern may be any configuration. So A, A, B, B, A, B, B, A. I mean, it has to have 2 sets of 4 lines. It has to have 8 lines in total. The poem should be a continuous story and not a rhyme just because you want to rhyme. Okay, it's got to have kind of a story to it. So I'm going to do an example. Here's the example right here. But if you're doing this on the computer, I'm going to show you what I expect you to make it look like on the computer. Okay. The other poems, so I will go in a little bit more detail. In-person students, when you come to school in person, we'll kind of review this before the end of the week so that you kind of have an idea when you go home what you're going to do. I have this as a paper packet in addition to a Google Doc. So if you're planning on doing it on paper, you'll have a paper packet. And if you're planning on doing it on the computer, you can still get a paper packet if you want, only for the in-person students. The remote students have to use the one online here. So there's a what if poem. So it says, think of 8 things that would be unusual or different in our lives and list them below under the heading what if. See the example below. What if, and then there's some examples down here. What if rain was Kool-Aid? So think of things that are just unusual, things that would be interesting. What if we all had 6 fingers? You know, some just weird things there. That's where you can let your inner weirdness come out, because some of you have some inner weirdness. All right, an I used to be poem is a poem that kind of shows how you've changed from when you were younger. So I used to do something, but now I do something. So, here's a basketball example. So I used to shoot underhanded to get a shot, but now I shoot overhand. Okay, so that could be something. I used to have my mom make my sandwich for me, but now I can make supper or cook for the whole family. So think of things like that. Again, you're not going to be writing on this paper unless you are an in-person student. The remote students, you're going to use this as a guide. where you can split your screen, and I'll show you how to do that. And you can use both sides of the screen to help you do this. A cinquain is a 5-line poem. It says right up here, 5-line poem. It always follows this pattern. So a 1-word title, which has got to be a noun. Line 2 is 2 words that describe the noun. Those are adjectives. Line 3 is 3 words that show the action of the title, okay, which is up here. The line 4 is 4 words that express a feeling about the title, which is the title up here. And line 5 is 1 word that is another word or a synonym for the first word in your poem. And here's an example right here. So it's about a grandmother. So Nana, there's 1 word. 2 words to describe Nana, round, soft. So that's what this is. Line 3, show actions. What are 3 things that Nana does? Humming, baking, loving. Notice how they usually end in an ing. Line 4, 4 words that express a feeling. Her laps for me. And a word that means the same thing as Nana, grandma. So there's a bunch of topics down here you could choose from. Okay. But it's pretty simple. Just follow the example. You'll figure it out. So a personal poem, also known as a biography poem or a bio poem. You begin by filling in the blanks, your first name, 3 adjectives, 3 words to describe yourself. And then sibling of. Now, if you don't have any brothers or sisters, you could have child of or grandchild of. Lover of, what's something that you love to do. Could be a person, could be a thing, could be a place, could be an activity. Who feels, who needs, who gives, who fears, who would like to see. So you're going to fill in what you want on all of these, okay? All right, a name poem, pretty simple. Write each letter of your name here. Hopefully there's enough letters for your name to go down here. And then you're going to write, if it has more than 10 letters, it doesn't really matter because you're only using this page as a guide. And here's some examples. Like if you were writing an example for cat, creeping round the bed, attacking my feet, time to go outside. So it spells cat. And then the name poem. You want it to have something to do with you. It's an acrostic poem, okay? A number poem. So select any number that is significant to you. It could be your phone number and zip code, address, social security number, whatever. Then you're going to write that number down right on this left-hand side, just like this. So this person here wrote their phone number, 469-3358. And that's what, I don't know what these numbers mean here, but somebody wrote those numbers. So what you're going to do is, so this is the number 4. So they wrote a line that has 4 syllables. So every weekend, that's 4 syllables. Then they wrote a line that has 6 syllables. And the lines all have to be part of a story. It lays on my driveway. That's 6. Then we have 9. I hate that orange bag on my driveway. So it is and when you're all done the poem, you're going to erase the numbers. Okay. You just wanted the numbers there as a guide. Okay. So that's a number poem. Feelings poem. Notice how the word afraid is down here. And they kind of did this as an acrostic poem. You don't have to do it as an acrostic poem. You could write the word that you're talking about, the feeling, on the first line, and then write a line describing, the 5 senses. That's what this example does here. That's a good way to do it as well. So that one is one. You could have one where you can't tell what the feeling is, but you describe the feeling. And in the end, this one is obviously anger from the way that it's written. So there's a lot of creativity here, and a lot of you guys are going to read these and not know where to start. So read these examples. These examples are a good way for you to start. We've been spending so much time reading poetry, but we haven't spent any time writing poetry. And I know some of you guys are very creative. Okay, so an XYZ poem. Name something you know many details about and write it on the first line. Then use the next 10 letters of the alphabet as the first letter of the next 10 lines. Write your poem using those alphabet letters as the first letter of the word on each line. So this person decided the thing that they know a lot about are roses. So then they had to write the next 10 letters on the line. So what comes after R? Then S, T, U, V, and so on. Once you get down to Z, you want to go back to A. All right, write your poem using those letters, and try to have a wraparound. So roses have stickers on their stems, and unless you watch carefully, very often you get picked. Okay, so that's an example of an XYZ poem. I wish poem, pretty easy. 8 ideas of how the world of your life might be changed to make it more perfect. An I'm special poem. It's also, oh, actually, is it the same as a bio poem? I might have done that here. Yeah, actually. So the personal poem, guys, I made a duplicate of it, and this is the I'm special biographical poem. These are the same thing, so you only have to do one of them. Okay, so it's basically the same. This one might make it a little bit easier to look at, though. So your first name, 4 adjectives to describe you, who is talented at 3 things, who feels 3 things, who loves 3 items, and so on. Okay, and the last one. Well, this one is more going to be for the people that are in person, because concrete poetry is something that we can do on paper, and it's really hard to do on a computer. If you're really good at using a computer, you might be able to figure out how to do something similar, but it's very difficult. So I'm thinking that most of you guys that are working remotely won't be able to do this unless you do it on paper and then you take a picture of it and submit that as part of your project. So you notice, like, the shape of the heart. So the poem says, a heart is the symbol for love. Hearts are also the symbol for Valentine's Day. Hearts are usually shown in pink or red and are very beautiful shapes. So that is the poem for that. And then we have one obviously for a spider web, one about a balloon, one about people. So the poem, whatever the plan is for the poem, you make it in the shape of what you're talking about. So that's just a very quick overview of, 10 or 11 different types. There are actually 12 pages, but 2 of them are the same, so there's only 11 types here. So what I would like you to do, so I'm going to split my screen here real quick. Now, some of you guys might know how to do this. You press this little thing in the middle, and that's the maximize and minimize button. So it makes it smaller, and I'm going to make my screen, I'm going to stretch that out. And what I want to do is I want to create see, I have to do this a different way than you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new doc. And for you guys, you're going to go to the top right of your screen and hit create. Now I created it, so there's a tab here. So here's my work. Here's the poetry project page right here. And what I want to do is I created a new document. So for you guys, you go up in the top right-hand side of the page. It would be up here, and you would press create, and then you would choose the word docs. All right. Now, so I got this other tab, and I want to move it over here. So I just hold that tab down, and I drag it, and it separates itself. There we go. So now I have a page, and I have another page. So if you are creating a doc, you want to call this, my poetry book or something similar. Okay. And put your name in it as well. All right. So that's what it'll save as. Now, if you're doing this on Google, you need to have a title page. Some of you know how to insert pictures, and some of you don't know how to insert pictures. If you're in my technology class, this is easy for you. If you're not, then it might be a little bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. So what we want to do is we want to create a title page. We want to have a title. We want to have by, and we want to have your name, and then maybe a picture or 2 on the page. So mess around with this. I mean, we can make the text big. We can center it. So I'm just going to do a really quick example. I want to make it even bigger. So highlight it, put it up to 96. Now, that's a pretty plain font. So my favorite font on here is Lobster. I think that looks pretty cool. So, and I also want to center it. All right. And underneath it, by Mr. Slack. All right. So there's my title page. Now to insert a picture, it's really, really simple. Okay. There's only a couple things to remember. So I want to insert a picture here, maybe of a book. Okay. You can put whatever you want here, something interesting to you. So I'm going to go to Insert, Image, and I want to search the web. And you'll notice over here, it gives you a spot to type in what you're searching for. So let me type in book clip art. Now, if you want it kind of a cartoony picture, you always use the word clip art and it'll bring something up. So there we go. So I'm just going to choose this one. I click on it. I press insert, and you're going to notice a problem. Okay, so the problem is, and let me make this big real quick. Problem is, now my title page is stretched over 2 pages, and I don't want that. I want it all on 1 page. So I'm going to show you how to do 2 things right now, and they're really simple to do. Number 1, you click on the picture, and you'll have this box around it. And what I want to do, so I'm going to grab it by the corner. Don't grab it by the side, because that'll squish your book. See, watch this. That's not what I want. So I hit the undo button. So I'm going to grab it by the corner, and I'm going to shrink it. Just kind of drag it in. All right, so now it's all on 1 page, but now it doesn't look right. So the next thing I need to do is I need to always press this middle button here called the wrap text button. Click it, and now I can kind of move this wherever I want. And if I put it down here in the corner or down here at the bottom, it doesn't mess with my words at all. So there's my title page. All right, now you can get super fancy and put colored text, and you can make the page a different color and things like that. I'm not going to really show you much on how to do that, but some of you guys that are really creative can maybe do that. All right, so now I'm going to hit that enter button, and it brings me to the next page, and this is where I'm going to be actually typing my text. So usually 11-point font might be suitable. But remember, your poems, some are going to be long and some are going to be short. So, you can change up your font however you want. So what I'm going to do, this poem right here, this example, I'm just going to type it. You have to type your own. I'm just typing this as an example. And I'm going to put my title in the center. I love to shop. And I want to put it as, you don't want to use all the same font that you used on the title page. So let me make that just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to type, I love to shop. It's my title. And hit enter. And it doesn't matter, guys, how it lines up right now. So this is an octave poem. So notice how the word tail and sail rhyme. Spring ring, summer, funner, which isn't even really a word, but they almost rhyme. Fall and all. All right, so in the winter, it's a tail. I only shop for a sale. Enter. In the spring, I'll look for a ring. In the summer, shopping is funner. Yikes. And but in the I don't shop at all. Okay, so this is just an example poem. And what I want to do is I want to kind of decorate it up for my own style. If I'm doing it on the computer, I may as well make it look nice. So again, you can mess around with the fonts. There we go. I like the cursive fonts a lot, but you don't have to use those. So let's just make it caveat. That's an interesting one. And we want to make it bigger, just to make it look better. And like I said, you don't even have to have the rest of the poem can stay whatever this font is, Trebuchet. Let's just make the font a little bit bigger. Now you don't need to put your name on each page because your name is on the front cover. So here's an example, and I may want to just kind of center it on the page a little bit so it looks kind of professional. All right, so there's an example. And again, you add pictures if you want. Okay. Well, I want you to. I want them to be as decorated as possible. The nicer it looks, the better it is. So you're going to have 10 poems at least. If you really get into this, I've had kids write me 30 poems before because they really got into it and they really like to do it. But that's up to you. But 10 is the minimum. You can use the 11 examples that are in the book. You can take 10 right from the poetry package I created, or You can do 7 from the book and then do 3 of your own that you just kind of come up with on your own. Or if you find a style of poetry in this packet that you really like, you can make more than one of the same style, but a different poem. So we'll talk about this a little bit more in person. You guys remotely, if you need to talk to me about this poetry thing, then you need to contact me and set up a Zoom for on Wednesday. Okay? So anyway, that's just kind of an introduction. I know it's like 20 minutes long, but hopefully that gives you guys some ideas and how to do these poems. All right, good luck, and I will see you in person hopefully soon.